This is Yair Pinto coming to you live from Israel, where over 1,300 Hezbollah targets were struck in Lebanon. Key commanders were eliminated, and rockets rained down on Israel's northern cities. The IDF pushes back with relentless force, while a special situation is declared across the entire country of Israel. We're on the brink of escalation, and the stakes have never been higher. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is your Boots on the Ground report, live about what is happening in Israel on the 354th day of the war against Hamas, Hezbollah, the Iranian head of the axis of evil, and all its terror proxies in Yemen, Iraq, and Syria. Guys, before we start, please take a minute to find the subscribe button and click on it so that you will never miss another episode of Boots on the Ground. And moreover, we need your help. We are 100,000 viewers closer to reaching 1 million. So help us by subscribing, sharing with your friends, and we will spread the truth from what is happening in Israel with the rest of the world. We want to reach 1 million subscribers by the end of this year. Back to the news. The IDF targeted 1,300 Hezbollah positions in Lebanon on Monday alone. Amongst the many hits, dozens of rocket launchers were destroyed and several terrorists have been eliminated, including Ali Karachi, who's Hezbollah's number 3 and the commander of a terrorist organization's Southern Front. This strike marked a turning point as Hezbollah continues to fire hundreds of rockets and missiles at Israeli cities, including Haifa, while targeting Israeli communities in Samaria and also Palestinian villages. Following this, Israel announced a special situation that is similar to martial law on the home front for at least the next week, with the possibility of extension if necessary. Now, Israel is striking hard after sending thousands of messages to residents of southern Lebanon to evacuate areas where Hezbollah stores its weapons. Israeli forces revealed even more stockpiles of cruise missiles and other arms in civilian areas further north. The strikes began soon after, with IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari confirming that they had attacked terror targets of Hezbollah throughout Lebanon, and we are still attacking. Hagari, the IDF spokesperson, presented footage of a missile stored in a hydraulic system on a family's roof in southern Lebanon, serving as proof of Hezbollah's method of using civilians as human shields, exactly like Hamas did in Gaza. This is Hezbollah's brutal message. Okay, I think that now we want to dive deeper into the details, and I would like to invite my colleague, Mati Shoshani, to give us an update on the situation.
Thank you, Yair. What we're witnessing now is a culmination of a long-term strategic plan by both Hezbollah and the Iranians to build up their forces along Israel's northern border. Now, over the past few days, Israel has dealt with significant blows to Hezbollah's capabilities, targeting crucial weapons storage sites, command centers, and eliminating key personnel like Ali Karachi, as you mentioned, who played a central role in planning operations against the state and specifically the people of Israel. Now, this relentless offensive is forcing Hezbollah to realize that they're in a fight they simply cannot win, at least not in the traditional sense. Their rocket capabilities have been severely degraded, and their infrastructure in southern Lebanon is being dismantled step by step by both the Israeli Air Force and other means. While the situation escalates, Hamas in Gaza has also been pressured. But make no mistake, Hezbollah is the primary threat here. The IDF's precision strikes have sent a clear message: Israel will not allow any terrorist organization to operate freely on its borders. Now let's hear a bit from what the audience has to say, Yair. This has been a very interesting day. We're keeping track as we go live now with people around the world who are wanting to catch up with what's happening here in this land. And I have to say, the last couple of days, we've seen an uptick on every social media platform of people that are following, praying, and caring for what's been happening here in Israel. So the other thing, the first question to answer, and this is something we've been asked for days now, is where is this going? And maybe you can start and I can pick up after that, of where are we going with this ongoing escalation of violence from Israel towards Hezbollah and vice versa?
Yes, Mati. Okay, so there's a few clear things that we can learn from recent days. The first thing is that the IDF is officially shifting its focus from the Gaza Strip to the northern border with the aim of pushing Hezbollah terrorists away from the border with Israel, with the purpose of bringing back more than 80,000 Israeli residents to their homes along the border between Israel and Lebanon. Okay, this is the goal of this operation against Hezbollah. Okay, so it's a big decision, and we can see the forces moving here in Israel. We see tanks moving from the south, from the area of Gaza to the northern border. We see the Air Force moving its focus and its attention against Hezbollah positions, targeting their installations, their commanders, their command stations, and above all, their long-range missile capabilities and suicide drones. Okay, so the IDF is focused on destroying these areas, these targets. At the moment, it's only aerial strikes by the IDF, and this is according to the IDF officials. The chief of staff is prepared within minutes to act and to launch a ground invasion into Lebanon with this goal of dismantling Hezbollah in the south, pushing it above the Litani River, which is according to the UN resolution that was agreed in order to have a peace or kind of a quiet agreement between Israel and Hezbollah, but Hezbollah violated this agreement. So it can go either way. Either Hezbollah goes north, or there will be a ground invasion with unknown implications to this region if Iran decides to join in the party and fight.
I think that's a really good summary, Yair. I want to pick up on some of the comments that people are making as they join us live. We already have almost 4,000 viewers. We're only a few minutes into this. Who joined us live. We have Dolan Chakraborty, who says, "God bless Israel and God bless the IDF." Well, thank you, Dolan. There are many other comments here. People saying they support and they're praying for the state of Israel. And let's dive into another topic, Yair, that a lot of people have been talking about. And the question is this leading to a bigger conflict? Because we know what's happening today. We've been playing this cat and mouse game back and forth between Israel and Hezbollah for almost a year now. And in the last, we're going on a week, things have changed dramatically. It all started when the IDF took, or the IDF or forces related to Israel, we're not sure exactly who, took action and blew up the pagers with the Hezbollah operatives, injuring thousands of Hezbollah operatives within Lebanon. And again, these people are terrorists who are carrying pagers to coordinate attacks against the civilians of Israel. And then it continued with another wave of explosions, followed by several days of massive air bombings of Hezbollah targets throughout Lebanon. You mentioned Daniel Hagari, the military spokesperson. Some of the things that have been coming out, just explaining, I was watching this earlier today, the IDF exposing how Hezbollah, just like the Hamas, have been hiding within civilian population. They showed, for instance, a video of rockets being launched from within a home, as in an entire building with families in it was built around a large missile with 1,000 kilo, that's over 2,000 pounds of explosives in the warhead. And that was inside a home built with a hydraulic lift, so it could come from within the basement floor up, out through this floor. So if you want to stop the rocket, you would have to hurt the families. And like we're saying, that's an exact MO, the same modus operandi that Hamas has been using. And that's the footprint or the fingerprint of Iran everywhere around the Middle East. They're using civilians to hurt them in the fight against Israel. They're using civilian lives as human shields against IDF attacks, and leaving the IDF no choice but to also have to strike civilian targets where military assets are hiding behind them.
Yeah, exactly, Martin. This is something that I've seen personally in the Gaza Strip. So they prepare the residential houses, especially mosques, schools, hospitals, United Nations buildings, for launching rockets. So how do they do that? They basically take a room, demolish one wall or semi-demolish it, and whenever they need, they just push the wall out, it collapses outside, and then they have a direct line of fire that they can launch their missile towards the Israeli forces or towards the Israeli communities, civilians. And I think that there's something that nobody's talking about, at least enough. Okay, everybody's talking about the Israeli massive bombardment of Hezbollah positions, about Lebanese people evacuating areas to the north. But also on the Israeli side, Hezbollah launched more than 200 rockets, drones, and Hezbollah, unlike Israel, is targeting the Israeli civilians and the cities.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the past, I would say 40 hours, more than 1 million Israelis are near bomb shelters or need to be in close proximity to bomb shelters, also in cities like Haifa, which until now in this conflict, which is almost 1 year, were not affected by these direct threats from Hezbollah. Basically, half of Israel is under rocket fire from Hezbollah. This is the situation. Okay, 1 million people out of a country that has close to maybe 10 million people that need to be next to bomb shelters. This is the situation. So I don't really see any other way than completely finishing the job with Hezbollah. So it either will be a massive force from the air that will cause Hezbollah to say, okay, I suffered enough, let's do a deal, I'll move my forces up for the time being, or they will be stubborn and we will have to go into a large maneuver of forces on the ground, in adding tanks, infantry, engineers, and other forces into Lebanon. And that will be a long scenario that might evolve the entire region and Iran. And guys, if you're just joining us now, we are coming live to you from Jerusalem. I'm Yair Pinto, and with me is Shoshani, giving you an update on the escalation on the border between Israel and Lebanon. The IDF has been launching more than 1,200 airstrikes targeting Hezbollah positions, and Hezbollah has been launching missiles, drones, and unmanned aerial vehicles towards Israeli communities, putting close to 1 million Israelis in immediate danger that they need to seek shelter or be near a bomb shelter. This is the situation in Israel. The IDF is shifting its focus to the north, from the Gaza Strip to the northern border. This is the situation. Guys, if you are watching us until now, please subscribe to TBN Israel. Okay, if you want to receive daily updates, daily videos about what is happening in Israel, please subscribe and share this video with whoever wants to know the truth of what's happening in Israel. Mati and I both serve in the IDF, and we've been fighting in this war in the north, in the Gaza Strip, and in Judea and Samaria. So we're talking from the ground, and we know what the IDF is doing. So thank you for following. Thank you for praying and supporting us. And Mati, I think that we might have maybe time for a few more questions from our viewers.
Yeah, you mentioned a very good question, or very good topic, which is the civilian response within Israel. We talked about the population of northern Israel all the way to south of Haifa and the Jezreel Valley being under the threat of rockets. Kids in those communities didn't go to school today. The roads had much less traffic on them than it usually does. But let's talk about what happens on the other side of the border, because we're not the only ones affected. In Lebanon, those people are under attack from the Israeli Air Force and other forces. And that attack is substantial, that attack is strong, that attack is meaningful. And if you look at the footage of the Lebanese news and Lebanese media outlets, you'll see a much more extreme image. You'll see images of columns of cars fleeing villages and communities in southern Lebanon, trying to get out of that region and out of Lebanon altogether. And that adds on to over 100,000 people that had left the southern regions of Lebanon in the beginning of the war for fear of exactly this retaliation. Because again, the IDF hasn't been idle in the last 11 months. The IDF has been bombing Hezbollah targets on a regular basis in southern Lebanon. And now with this escalation of attacks by the Israeli Air Force on Hezbollah targets, there's a very substantial response from the civilian population saying, with voting with their feet, as we say in Hebrew, getting out of that region. Something else is very interesting too that's been happening is that we're starting to hear from Syrian civilians. I don't know if you remember seeing this just the last couple of days, Syrian civilians and Lebanese people, a public outcry against Hezbollah. It's people within those countries who are saying one of two things. One, we remember what Hezbollah did to us. Those are the Syrian people during their civil war. Assad and other forces, President Assad and other forces, and the Hezbollah exacted an incredible amount of violence and brutality against the people of Syria. They're calling publicly for the destruction and the removal of Hezbollah. People within Lebanon are doing the same thing. They're, again, not the entire country is against Israel, and definitely not the entire country is for Hezbollah. So again, a substantial civilian movement in southern Lebanon of people evacuating the area because of the intensity of the bombings. You've quoted some of the numbers just to give people a picture. If you pull up, Google this now, and I'm sure we'll have some of this running on the screen we have throughout this broadcast, the amount of rocket intercepts on the Israeli side, as in Hezbollah firing rockets and Israeli Iron Dome systems shooting down those rockets on the way, very substantial. The amount of airstrikes from the Israeli Air Force into the Lebanese Hezbollah stations, that too is incredibly significant. We're dealing them a very substantial blow. This goes back to this initial discussion that we were mentioning earlier, where Hezbollah and Israel were fighting at a limited scale. Now the gloves are off. We're fighting with everything we have, barring or with the exception of a full ground invasion. And that's what we're seeing. The IDF Air Force seriously, systematically bombing Hezbollah targets, taking out their big assets, the long-range missiles, the long-range launchers, the weapons depots, their infrastructure, that following the technological attack on their pager system and other communication methods, we're going after them. And the goal is, as you said this previously, to bring them to the point where they simply can't continue and have to reach an agreement. And I look at this as a positive turn of events. Of course, not the human suffering, but the fact that we're finally seeing things move in a direction where a conclusion is even possible.
Yes, definitely. And the IDF chief of staff and other officials stated and actually warned Hezbollah and the Lebanese people that this is just the beginning. The IDF has a lot more levels of pressure that they can implement against this terrorist organization, Hezbollah, if they do not come to an agreement. Okay, the IDF is doing all this in order to return our Israeli citizens to their homes after being displaced from their communities for more than 11 months. It's unimaginable, okay? And the IDF has been able to take back Hezbollah 20 years back in terms of their infrastructure, in terms of their command station. If you just look at the leadership, chart of the Hezbollah organization, it's basically Hassan Nasrallah up there, and that's it. All below, eliminated. This is the situation. Just imagine how hard it is to find good people, quality people that are capable to plan, to execute, to lead under you. And this is the situation that Hassan Nasrallah is under. And I don't know if it will be wise for this organization to keep fighting Israel in this war. But as we know, it's not Nasrallah and Hezbollah's decision. It's a decision that is coming from Iran. Okay, Iran orchestrated the Hamas and the October 7 attacks. Iran is funding terror organizations in Judea and Samaria, trying to create another front that will attack Israel. Iran is still, currently, as we're speaking, transporting weapons into Hezbollah in Lebanon, trying to reinforce them, trying to bring them more people, more supplies, more leadership, more people that can wage this war against Israel. But the Israeli Air Force and the military exacted a very, very heavy toll on this organization. And I'm not sure that they have the ability, especially at the moment, to take this war into a next level, and especially not launching a ground invasion into Israel. So the ball is in Israel's court. And guys, I have to say that I'm super, super excited to see the comments that we've been receiving support and prayers from the Philippines, from Iran, from many countries around the world. It's super encouraging. And you know what? It makes me think that this war is not just a physical war of Israel. Okay, you need to remember, we have no oil, we have no natural resources, because this is a spiritual war. And Iran wants to bring its evil ideology to Israel, basically to destroy us, because Israel is an example of God's faithfulness to his people and to all of us. And it's really nice to see that other people around the world understand that Israel is standing between this evil ideology of Iran, of extremism, and the West. Okay, so everybody who values his lifestyle, his freedom, should basically support Israel against this evil Iran, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Palestinian terror groups, all of these fronts that are attacking us. Okay, so thank you really for all your prayers, and keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem, because it really means a lot. Hey, Mati, maybe a word of tomorrow. What are we to expect? I don't know, in the next week, a few days. What's going to
First of all,
happen?
before we say that, I want to thank Donna Nason and several others who've just made donations on this live stream. Keep it going, guys, and thank you so much for supporting what we're doing. And yes, let's talk about what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be more of the same. Tomorrow, the IDF will continue to attack Hezbollah targets throughout Lebanon, continue to chip away at what's left of their weapons reserves and their infrastructure. And again, let's frame this conversation. Over the last, let's say, 10 days, the IDF and its friends, we haven't taken responsibility for all of it, have eliminated or taken out of action several thousand of the Hezbollah, let's call it tactical command. We've taken out many of their field operatives. We've taken out over 50% of their weapons depots, according to the IDF. So it's been a very substantial blow just in a very short amount of time. Just in the last 24 hours, it's been incredibly substantial. And then to top that off, we have a mass movement of civilian life from within southern Lebanon or fleeing the area, pressuring Hezbollah to bring an end to this. We have the international community pressuring Hezbollah to bring an end to this. We don't see the Iranians stepping in. We don't see any more involvement on their end. Israel, the IDF, of course, has pretty much wrapped up operations and movement within the Hamas area. And now we're just pushing towards a resolution with what's happened with Hezbollah, to reach an agreement, to reach a ceasefire, to reach a surrender of them. But maybe since we're here, let's recap what's been happening in the last couple of days, because it's been an intense day. I want to sort of go back to what we just discussed initially for those who just joined us in the last couple of minutes. And again, thank you to everyone, Maggie and several others who've just been making donations as this live stream is going.
Yes, so let me just recap. This is Yair Pinto, and with me is Mati Shoshani, and we're coming to you live from Jerusalem in Israel, giving you an update on the escalation on Israel's northern border. Okay, so just so you understand, Israel has been fighting a war against Hamas since October 7th and against Hezbollah, which is the largest terrorist organization in the world since October 8th. Both of these organizations are controlled by Iran. Okay, so there is one goal for these organizations, and that is to destroy Israel. Okay, that's the goal. In recent days, the fighting against Hezbollah escalated, and the IDF has been carrying more than 1,300 direct strikes targeting military depots, weapon stockpiles, rocket launchers, precision cruise missiles, and suicide drones that are capable of carrying attacks into the heart of Israel, the heart of the Jewish state. And Hezbollah, like Hamas, has been hiding these missile capabilities, missile launchers, inside residential buildings. The IDF, and maybe we can show the footage, captured videos of these missiles inside residential houses of civilians in Lebanon. Okay, again, Hezbollah is using the people of Lebanon as human shields, just like Hamas did in Gaza with the Palestinian people. This is the method of these organizations. So you need to understand that these organizations are taking the civilian population of their own countries as hostages. More than 1 million Israelis have been under high alert, meaning that they need to be close to bunkers, to shelters, because Hezbollah has been launching above 200 rockets, drones into Israeli cities such as Haifa. This is very south in the country. It's not just the northern border communities of Israel. This is huge cities filled with children, schools, and everybody is on high alert, protected against these rockets, drones. Okay, thank God we have the Iron Dome anti-rocket defense systems, and it was able to neutralize all of these attacks and strikes against us, except from a few rockets that exploded in open areas. A few also exploded on roads, and we've seen the footage of that. And by miracle, I mean, not many people were hurt. Okay, so this is the situation. Please pray for the peace of this area. Pray for the IDF and the leaders of Israel and the United States and all our allies to be wise in making these decisions. The goal here is to push Hezbollah terrorists north from the border with Israel. Okay, we want to return our Israeli civilians to their houses after being displaced and basically refugees in our own countries for more than 11 months. Just imagine being away from your house for more than 11 months in your own country. That's the situation. Okay, so I think we gave a bit of a recap. Mati, do you want to add anything?
No, I'll just say, in light of what you've said, this has been an incredible several days. This is finally the culmination of almost a year of fighting and a year of conflict that is finally coming to a point where there's enough pressure on Hezbollah, enough pressure on their terrorists to move them to the negotiation table, to stop the violence in this region, to bring this war that's been raging for almost an entire year to some kind of conclusion, to some kind of resolution that will bring peace to northern Israel and allow the civilians of the state of Israel to return to their homes in northern Israel. Again, we're not happy for the violence, but we are happy for a resolution. We are happy for things to reach a point of decision. It's an incredible time. It's an incredible change of events that we've all been waiting for a very long time, specifically the inhabitants of northern Israel. And we're finally seeing the IDF take substantial action, being on the forward-moving foot, really taking initiative against Hezbollah to bring a resolution to this very long-awaited move.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you, Mati, for your insights.
Thank you, Yair.
As we've seen, the situation in Lebanon continues to escalate, and the IDF's operations are achieving significant results. But let's not forget that our southern front is also active. Hamas terrorists operating in a command and control complex in the Gaza Strip were targeted last night, resulting in several key hits of Hamas operatives. Okay, so I think as we continue to track these developments, one thing is clear. Israel is determined to push back against all threats to its sovereignty, whether from Hezbollah in the north or Hamas in the south. The declaration of a special situation across the entire country means that we are entering a new phase in this conflict, and the days ahead will be challenging for everyone. But we will not be deterred. The IDF's actions, the strength of the Israeli people, and the support from around the world will see us through. So here at TBN Israel, we will continue to keep you updated on all the latest developments. Please help us spread the truth by sharing this video, follow us on social media, and subscribe to this channel so that you will never miss another update of Boots on the Ground. And as always, pray for the peace of our soldiers, the safe return of our hostages, and for the peace of Israel and Jerusalem. Mati Shoshani, thank you so much for being with me in this live. It was, I think, very important for everybody to understand. And thank you guys for praying, for supporting, for standing with Israel. It means the world to us.